Oh,
We have prospects.
Liz, very important, is the medic.
Right.
And she's going to wander, and so am I. Okay?
So I'm going to be wondering you're on Cedar.
Yeah.
See that stop sign?
Yeah.
You're going to turn.
So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Steve. Everybody say, good afternoon, Steve. So, as we always do with a rally or a protest, pick your word. As we do with a protest or rally, Steve usually has some questions. So I'm going to begin the rally with some questions. Oh, by the way, a little rally practice here. These first couple of questions, the answer to all of them is yeah. That's your part. So why don't we try one yeah? Everybody, 1, 2, 3, yeah. Yeah. That's right. What are y'all mad about something? Yeah. You got concerns? Yeah. You understand why we're here? Yeah. You know we lose the vote, we lose this democracy? Yeah. It's the truth. Let me start off with a PSA, public service announcement. Everyone, please remember to visit our tables, find a volunteer with the lathe on, and get information to find out how you can take action to continue our struggle to protect the vote. And before we bring on our first speaker, I want to interrupt this rally with a protest. A couple of protest chants. Here's one. I'll say the whole thing, and then you guys say the second part. We ain't never turning back past the For the People Act. We ain't never turning back past the For the People Act. We ain't never turning back past the For the People Act. We ain't never turning back past the For the People Act. And I got a question, then we'll bring in our first speaker. I got a question for you. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what resistance looks like. This is what resistance looks like. Tell me what resistance looks like. This is what resistance looks like. So far you guys doing pretty good. Give yourself a round of applause. What are you, some sort of protest group? Yeah. Oh, you got that yeah thing working? You surprised me on that one. So we're going to bring up our first speaker, our West Point graduate, fought to defend the Constitution, including the right to vote, our Ulster County Executive. You all know, give a big round of applause for Pat Ryan.
Sorry. Good afternoon. It is good to just see everybody in person. I gotta say, let's take just a minute and celebrate the fact that we have a reason to be together, that the rain has stopped, that we are here to make our voices heard, and we're not gonna let a pandemic or the weather or anything else or what's happening around the country stop us. In fact, it makes it even more urgent and even more essential that we're here today. So it is really an honor and a privilege to be with you all, and it also just makes me happy on a personal level.
Pat Ryan, yeah!
It's always hard to follow Steve. So I wanted to take a minute and make sure that we capture the gravity of what we're doing here today and sort of make it official. Before I do that, though, I want to just make clear we are here on a local level, but what we're doing here and what I know is happening around our country is going to have reverberations nationally and internationally. And everyone knows this quote, but I think it is perfectly apt today from Dr. King, that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. What's happening in Georgia, what just happened in Florida, could easily happen anywhere else if we don't do what we're doing here today. So I'm going to actually read a proclamation recognizing the importance of this moment, so please bear with me as I read this, and I'll keep it brief. Whereas Ulster County is committed to advancing equitable voting rights and justice for people of all races, national origins, and ethnicities. Whereas the right to vote is one of the foundational rights of all Americans. Whereas May 9th, 1961 marks the 60th anniversary of the South Carolina stop of the Freedom Riders' historic bus trip from Washington, D.C. to New Orleans, where John Lewis and so many others withstood violent beatings. Whereas Congressman John Lewis spent his life fighting against hate, bigotry, and fighting for equal opportunity at the voting booth to advance voting rights for everyone. Whereas voting rights are under attack nationally by state legislatures introducing and passing laws to create barriers to voting. Whereas the John Lewis Day of Advocacy and Action will raise awareness and protect voting rights from these anti-democratic laws. And the last one, I'm sorry. Whereas Ulster County urges residents to celebrate the life and the work of John Lewis by committing to expand and secure voting rights for all. Now, therefore, I, Patrick Ryan, County Executive of Ulster County, do hereby proclaim today John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Day in Ulster County and call the observance to the attention of all 180,000 of our citizens. Thank you to the organizers of today's event, and thank you to my fellow colleagues and speakers, and everybody have a great day. Thank you.
Give it up one more time for Pat Ryan. You love this guy. We love that guy.
Help them get elected.
So, a couple more questions before we continue with our next speaker. Tell me what America looks like. This is what America looks like. Tell me what America looks like. This is what America looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. Tell me what democracy looks like. This is what democracy looks like. You're doing good. You're doing good. We're bringing up right now our next speaker, our state representative for the 46th New York District, Michelle Hinchy. Give it up for Michelle.
Thank you. I'm a little shorter than the other ones who are here. So hello, everyone. How you doing today? Happy Voting Rights Day. That's awesome. This is so great to be here to echo what our county executive said. It is so exciting to see all of us here in this incredibly incredible local establishment, Seasoned Delicious. Can we get a round of applause for Seasoned Delicious for hosting us today and for being always willing to be a community space and really meant to be a community space for all of us. This is a safe space and somewhere that we can make our voices heard any day and every day. As was said, I am Michelle Hinchy, the new state senator for the 46th District. And that is thanks to all of you and the work that you did and making sure that people were registered to vote and that they came out to vote. Our election and flipping the 46th District is a testament to how important it is that every single person has the opportunity and the right to vote. We know that even here in New York, our voting rights have a long way to go. And that's why the Democratic majority has made it a point in the last 2 years to kick off the session, to start the legislative session with big voting rights legislation and changes. And this year we saw how much of a mess our absentee and vote by mail system is in New York. We were part of that. So you may remember that it took us about 3 weeks to just know the outcome of our election. Here at the state Senate level in New York, that's absolutely ridiculous. We need to know much faster. We need to make it easy for people to vote. And we passed a slew of legislation making sure that vote by mail was much easier for people. And we will continue to advocate for that. We will continue to fight for that. We thank all of you so much for the work that you are doing in this space. We have to make sure everybody can vote. And so thank you for being here, for raising awareness, for being one of the many rallies that is happening across this country today. To have one here in Kingston is incredibly special. So thank you all for showing up, for doing the work, for continuing to do the work, and to making sure that everyone in this community is represented as they should be. Thank you.
This is the fight. This is the struggle. It's time for us to get in good trouble. This is the fight. This is the struggle. This is the fight. This is the struggle. And you picked a good rainy day to start. Here we go. Our next guest coming up to speak is the Ulster County Legislature for District 5. No. Oh, sorry, I skipped one. The president and co-sponsor of the NAACP for Ellenville, Maud Bruce. Give it up for Maud Bruce.
Good afternoon, everybody. The struggle continues. After 60 years ago, I'm here again to promote voting rights. Don't give up your right to vote. 60 years ago in Albany, Georgia, I marched with Reverend Martin Luther King and John Robert Lewis on Jackson Street. And we was fighting for the exact same thing that we are fighting for now, voting rights. We must not give up our voting rights. We must keep the fire burning. We must keep the fire burning. We must lead our children, our young people to the voting poll. We must lead our elders to the voting poll. We need to lead everybody because this is how we're going to change things. 56 years ago, the voting right was signed. And look where we at today. We back here again, fighting for the same thing, the right to vote. And we must keep the fire burning. The struggle continues. The struggle continues. And we are here to keep the struggle alive.
And to continue to rally in the middle of this protest, let's shine the light really good. It's time for DC statehood. Let's shine the light really good. It's time for DC statehood. Let's shine the light really good. It's time for DC statehood. Let's shine that light really good. It's time for DC statehood. You guys are doing good. Here we go. We're going to bring up right now the Ulster County Legislature for District 5, Abe Uchel. Here we go.
Thank you so much. So happy to be here. This is one of my favorite places on earth. I get to represent one of the best districts, and before I get started, I just want to shout out our alderwoman who represents us to the Kingston City Council, Rita Worthington, who's here. She's going to be singing later at the New Progressive Baptist Church, so I just wanted to shout that out. I know y'all aren't here to hear from me. That's probably why you're here, for Rita. So big shout out to Rita Worthington. I'm proud to have her as my alderwoman for Ward 4. So I was elected to the Ulster County Legislature about 2 years ago, and one of the first, actually the first piece of legislation that I passed, that I introduced, and that we got passed, was a piece of election legislation. I was really proud to be able to change the way that we count our recounts. It seems like minute things, but these things actually make representation huge. And when they teach us about, when they teach history, the history that we all lived through, they teach about laws and they teach about the things that actually happen at the highest level. But what they don't, what it's hard to teach is it's hard to teach the feelings that are around all of it. It's hard to teach the emotion, and it's honestly hard to teach the oppression that created some of these laws. So we think about things like Jim Crow, we think about things like the 3/5 Compromise, a horrible mark in our history. It's hard when I was a child, it was hard for me to understand what racism would look like in the 18th century when some of these things were happening, right? What would it look like 50 years ago? It's hard to understand that, but you can look at the laws and you can think about how these laws have an impact. Well, today we are still fighting these fights because democracy in the United States is a full participation sport. We all need to get involved, and we are still fighting this because the battleground is on these election laws. Horrible laws are getting passed all over the country. As Senator Hinchy said, we still have work to do here in New York. So this is the battleground. This is how we get full representation. This is how we make for a full, small d democracy that we are all incredibly proud of. And I'm so happy to be here today and to support all of this work. So thank you all for being here. Very excited. Thank you.
Give it up for Abe. There we go. And Abe is right. Years ago, they did all this. Years ago, they did all this in the dark because it was shameful. They're doing it in the broad light now. They're doing it in the daylight now. It's unbelievable. And they're telling you to shut up. So I got something to say. They say shut up, we say rise up. 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 Shut up, rise up. Shut up, rise up. Shut it up, rise up. Shut it up, rise up. Shut it up, rise up. Oh, you guys doing good. We're bringing up to the microphone right now Reverend Evelyn Clark of the New Progressive Baptist Church. Let's give it up for Evelyn Clark. Here we go.
All right. It's so good to see so many people out this afternoon. And I just, I want to call on all of us to stand up and tell Congress and the United States Senate to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act. It's time to pass that act because we are not going back to oh no. No, we're not going back to oh no. Where's oh no? Well, I'm so glad you asked. Oh no is a place in the Bible that's referenced in the Bible in the book of Nehemiah. It's a place on the plains called Oh No. And in the book of Nehemiah, Nehemiah had come back to Jerusalem to try to rebuild the wall around Jerusalem. While he was doing this work, his enemies were trying to get him to come down off the wall and go to this place called Oh No. But Nehemiah told them, oh no, I'm not going to oh no because I'm doing a good work and I won't come down. Just like John Lewis. John Lewis was doing a good work and he didn't stop doing that good work until his work was done. Now it's time for us to do the work. And we've got to do the work to protect the vote. We're not going to let anybody cancel our vote. Too many people died for us to have the right to vote. Too many people marched for us to have the right to vote. We are not going to let anyone take our vote. We are going to protect our vote. We are not going to let anyone cancel our vote. We are not going back to oh no. Say it with me. Oh no. We're not going back to oh no.
Give it up for Evelyn Clark. I know her. I met her once. Oh, okay, here's another chant in between. Voting's a right, that's a fact. Pass the John Lewis Voting Act. Voting's a right, that's a fact. Pass the John Lewis Voting Act. Voting's a right, that's a fact. Pass the John Lewis Voting Act. our well-known DA and our wonderful rep, Dave Clay. Give it up for Dave Clay.
So I don't know who set this up that I had to follow Evelyn. This is a problem for me. But look, it is great to be here. It's great to see you all. It's great to be purposeful as we come together and talk about voting. I've been asked here to talk about the continuing struggle for justice and for equality in our country. And it goes all the way back to the 60s, and of course all the way back a century before that to when slavery was legal here. And if you look at the Voting Rights Act of 1965, you realize that that came after the Civil Rights Movement and all the good trouble that happened from that. Now what happened in 2013 is the Supreme Court in our country found that that no longer had to be applied because it was dated, that it was 40 years ago, and we no longer have the same circumstance. But what we now have in this country is the same circumstance developed. If you have people who are setting up legislation that will intimidate or restrict or deny the right to vote to anybody, that is a constitutional violation. How many of you know about the 15th Amendment to the Constitution of the United States? That says that every citizen in the United States should have the right to vote, should not have it denied or abridged because of their color or race. We have not forgotten that. We will not let that be forgotten. We, as a country, as people who care about a true democracy, which is only true if every person has a fair, open, and equal opportunity to vote. So nothing could be more important than what we're doing here to our democracy. Like John said, voting is almost sacred. Almost sacred. Let's protect our right to vote and our democracy. Thank you very much.
I saw Lindsey Graham on TV this morning. He don't want y'all here. He don't want y'all here. Does he want y'all here? But when they say go away, we say no way. 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 Go away. No way. Get away. No way. Back away. No way. Stand away. No way. Go away. No way. They don't like it when you say that, you know. They don't like that long. Bring it up to the microphone right now is our wonderful sheriff, Juan Figueroa. Give it up for Juan Figueroa. Here we go.
Of course, let me lower this. So you want to talk about voting, huh? Did we forget about 2018 and what we did here in Ulster County? That's right. We made a change. By the way, buenas tardes, mi gente. That means good afternoon, everybody. To all of my people, I want to start by saying how important it is to vote. Many of us have seen what happened in the past, and if we don't vote, then we don't have our voice. Our voice is that of voting. Many people have died for the rights that we have today. And out of all the countries in the world, we can still right the ship by voting. And that's what we did in 2018. So I'm so happy to be here today. I'm so happy to see so many familiar faces. And I want to tell you how important our history is as a country of immigrants. I want to tell you how important it is to vote. Look around the crowd right now and see the different type of nationalities that we have standing right here, right now. That is who we are. That is who we are. I remember as a kid, my father taking me to the Puerto Rican Day Parade in Manhattan. And there was a saying that they would say, and it was, Despierta, Boricua, defiende lo tuyo, which meant, defend what is yours already. It is yours. and the vote is yours. Own it, vote it. God bless America. Take care, guys.
Oh, we worked hard to get that man in. Give him a round of applause. And now, just to state a fact, there isn't any county where anybody knows who the controller is. But we know who our controller is. We love Marsh Gallagher. It's amazing. Everybody knows Marsh Gallagher. She's the controller. Please give it up to Marsh Gallagher.
Hi, everybody. Did you all see what happened in Florida this week? Signing an outrageous voter suppression bill that's going to limit access to drop boxes, doubling the work needed to get an absentee ballot, and Florida is one of only 47 states moving to restrict voter rights. Texas would prohibit the mailing of absentee ballots by election workers, so we wouldn't have been able to vote during COVID there. And Ohio is trying to limit early voting to 1 day. We have 7 days of early voting here in New York. But why are they doing this? The integrity of the election was solid. We know that. We know that from election officials. We know that from litigation. So why are these states taking these actions? There is one reason. They are trying to limit who votes. And we know voting is the most fundamental American right, and we are here to protect that right. I want to talk to you about 3 bills today, all right? The For the People Act would set minimum standards at the federal level. Let's give every voter in the country some protections. This bill passed the House on March 3rd. Thank you to our House representatives. Yes. It now needs to move through the Senate. It is before the Senate Rules Committee this coming Tuesday. If you have time and you want to call senators, that's what to call them about. Let's see the For the People Act get Senate approval setting minimum standards for all Americans. The John Lewis Voting Rights Advancement Act would restore the full power of the Voting Rights Act, which means states that have a history of Voting Act violations would have to get federal approval. It's not an if, it's a when. And that bill needs to be introduced in both houses, but when it does, we need you guys supporting it. And finally, Washington, D.C. Admissions Act would give 700,000 people in D.C., like my baby sister, the same rights on par with other Americans. That bill has passed the House, but it now sits in the Committee on Homeland Security in the Senate. So we all have work to do, you guys, on these bills, okay? Get them through the Senate, get the John Lewis Act in both houses and passed. Everybody, please stop by the action table and take information away with you today to help us protect this fundamental right. This is a really important time in our country. Let us not slide backwards. Thank you.
Is everything she said true? Is everything she said real? Is this where we are now? So then I have a question for you. When democracy is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When democracy is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When democracy is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When democracy is under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. Coming to the mic right now. We're moving ahead so well. Is the advocate responsible for the Center for Accessible Living, Keith Gerke? Give it up for Keith.
Thank you. Can everybody hear me? Okay. So thank you, Christine, for inviting me. When I got the invite, I was thinking voting rights. You know, what's at stake? You know, it wasn't that long ago, Willowbrook individuals with disabilities, which make up 1 out of 4 Americans, were relegated to segregated settings awful abuse, neglect, individuals, including children. So what does the right to vote mean? Our lives, our abilities to have elected representatives. I think voters should select their representatives. I don't think representatives should cherry pick their voters. That was let's remember our fellow Americans. We have to be together in a democracy. An enlightened democracy will either thrive or fail through its active citizenry or not. So there are individuals that can't be here right now. Let's think about them and move forward. Thank you.
They say get back, we say fight back. They say get back, we say fight back. Get back. Fight back. Stand back. Fight back. Go back. Fight back. Stand back. Outstanding. Bringing up right now a special guest. You guys, and don't have to pick him up again. You guys remember Ray Charles? Remember little baby Ray? Bringing up to the microphone right now is Ray's mom, Sergeant Tracy. Give it up for attorney and founder of Podcast Spotlight 19. Make some noise!
Hi everyone, there's a lot of tough acts to follow today, but I wanted to talk to you guys today about my grandma. I call her Nanu in Bengali. And to prep for today, she's across the world right now in Bangladesh, and I'm not sure when or if I'll see her again. But I asked her, I said, have you ever voted? And she sent me a message on Viber, which is this app we're using over the past year, and she said, only once in my life, my dear, I voted. Once in her life. In her 80-plus years on this earth, has she cast a ballot. Through partition of India, through bloody civil war in Bangladesh, through multiple military coups, only once did she feel that it was safe and there wasn't inherent danger in voting. Then I asked my parents, did you guys ever vote before you immigrated to this country? And they said no. And their first ballot was cast in their late 30s. So that's kind of what we're up against here. That's why people come to this country. That's why people around the world are dealing with. And that's what these leaders are trying to send us back to. Because when you suppress the vote, when you put inherent danger in that, that's what happens. People feel reluctant to vote. They feel hesitant to vote. And that's what we absolutely cannot go back to in this country. So I implore all of you to think about people around the world that don't have this right, that this country has been fighting for since its very birth. So let's not go back to that. Let's not have voters around this country who are hesitant. So that's what I wanted to share with you all today. And I just wanted to thank all the organizers. It's so wonderful. This is all of our coming out party after a very difficult year. So thank you to you, and I can't wait to march with you. All right.
Give it up one more time for Sarge Tracy. Okay, for those of you who are new arrivals, this next chant, both answers are always yeah. They're always yeah. So you're all here. Y'all concerned about something? Yeah. Y'all mad about something? Yeah. Y'all worried about something? Yeah. Well, we're going to give them something to worry about. Yeah. What you see is what you get, and you ain't seen nothing yet. What you see is what you get. You ain't seen nothing yet. What you see is what you get. You ain't seen nothing yet. What you see is what you get. You ain't seen nothing yet. What you see is what you get. You ain't seen nothing yet. They ain't seen nothing yet. We're not giving up the vote. Say yeah. Yeah. We're not giving up the vote. Yeah. Bringing up to the mic right now is Tyrone Wilson, Commissioner for Ulster County Human Rights. Give it up for Tyrone. y'all feel? We can't be quiet out here. How y'all feel? Oh, we here. We here. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Why are we at this stage right now in our lives right now? Why are we fighting for this? Why? Why are we still in this place? We cannot go to our respective areas and go cast a vote that we believe in without being harassed, without being stopped, without having agendas to make us move, to not make us feel safe online. What are we doing? But let me say this. It has always been power to the people. It has always been power to the people. Do not, by no circumstances, let anybody turn you left, turn you right. Stay straightforward.
Left is okay.
Stay straightforward. Mr. John Lewis, and I'm going to tell you something real quick. I met Mr. Lewis. I was 13 years old on 125th Street in Harlem at the State Building. Mr. Lewis came and talked to us about being in that good old trouble. I didn't understand what that meant at that time. I didn't understand what it meant. But I tell you today, that good trouble is so good. That good trouble is so good. Say it with me. That good trouble is so good. I'm going to leave you with this, and I just want to say this in honor of some of the people who gave their lives for our voting rights, and it's going to go back a little bit, and I'm going to start with Mr. Frederick Douglass, 1818, 1895. I'm going to go down to Ida B. Wells, 1862, 1931. I'm going to go to Alice Paul, 1885, 1977. I'm going to go with Martin Luther King, 1929, 1968. I'm going to go with Ted Kennedy, 1932, 2009. I'm going to go with Lucy Stone, 1818, 1893. And I'm going to go with Thomas Wilson Dorr, 1805, 1854. Now you look at those dates and you bring us down to this day where we at right now, 2021. Oh my God, let's go fight the good fight. Power to the people. He's right, ain't he right? Ain't he right? He's right, ain't he right? Enough's enough, that's a fact. We ain't ever going back. Enough's enough, that's the fact. We ain't ever going back. Enough's enough, that's the fact. We ain't ever going back. Enough's enough, that's the fact. We ain't ever going back. We ain't ever going back to that. Look at the pictures by getting run over by horses for the right to vote. Are we ever going back to that? Say no. Are we ever going back to that? Counting jelly beans in a jar? Are we going back to that? Are we going back to you can't get water waiting online to vote? Are we going back to that? No, we are not. No, we are not. We ain't going back to what somebody say, oh no? Oh no, don't make me bring Evelyn back up here. We ain't going back to oh no. Bring it to the microphone right now before I lose my voice. Liz Lee, nurse practitioner and co-sponsor of UACT's voting reform. Here we go. Give it up for Liz.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I am Liz Lee. I'm with the UACT Reform Committee and I am an Asian American, and I stand with solidarity with my brothers and sisters of color to support H.R. 1, S1, and the John R. Lewis Voting Act. And these Congressional Senate bills restores voting rights and protection, voter equity, voter access, and it ends partisan gerrymandering and reforms campaign financing practices. In the New York State Legislature, we have 3 bills, our own J.R. Lewis Act and 2 constitutional amendments to support no excused absentee voting and to eliminate the advanced 10-day voter registration requirement before the elections. Yes. And so when racism and voter suppression affects one person of color, it affects all of us. So call your Senator Schumer and Gillibrand to vote for S1, HR 1, and the John R. Lewis Act. Call our New York State Assemblyman Cahill and Senator Martucci to pass those 2 constitutional amendments this year and the John R. Lewis Act for New York. Thank you.
Yeah, make some noise for Liz. Yep. Here we go. This is the fight. This is the struggle. It's time to get in good trouble. This is the fight. This is the struggle. It's time to get in good trouble. This is the fight. This is the struggle. It's time to get in good trouble. This is the fight. This is the struggle. It's time to get in good trouble. This is the fight. This is the struggle. It's time to get in good trouble. And now we're going to bring up Adriana Mangana, artist, musician, environmentalist, and founder and co-sponsor of the Center for Bioregional Living. Did I say that right? Yeah. I said it all right. Give it up. Here we go.
John Lewis presente. John Lewis presente. John Lewis presente. John Lewis presente. Sí. And you know, I just want to shake it up a little bit. Everybody's been coming down with the facts and the information, and it tells you what you need to do, and you've got people over there to help you, and I've got a fluorescent vest in my pocket to guide you along the way. But let's just jump a little bit and shake a little bit, and jump a little bit and shake a little bit, because we're going to have a lot of energy on this walk. We're going to have a lot of energy on this road, because you know what? We can never, ever stop. Because we're not going back. We're not doing what happened in Obama's first term with the midterms and everything flipped around. We are in the most dangerous time right now that we could ever be in. And we're not going back. We're not going back. We're not going back. And in fact, our vision is a bright vision of the future. You can't see it right now because we're all struggling so hard. We're all fighting so hard. But we know that people like John Lewis has come here. He came here, he did good trouble, he worked with so many people, and we are the beneficiaries of all of that hard work, of voting rights that protect the environment, that protect our mother, that protect women's rights. If we don't have voting rights, we don't have clean water. If we don't have voting rights, we don't have equal rights for women. We don't have protection for children. We don't have protection for our most vulnerable people. So we need to protect our right to vote. It is one of the most foundational, fundamental human rights that we could ever have the audacity to ask for. Seems kind of crazy in the United States of America, supposedly a democracy. It is shameful. It is shameful. We should be ashamed. They should be ashamed. But I'm so thankful for all of you joining us together in this. Hi, Ray. Hi, Baby Ray. Do it for Baby Ray. Thank you so much. I'm honored to be here.
Audrey, give up Adriana. I got the thank you. Yep. And just like she said, enough's enough. That's a fact. We ain't ever going back. Enough's enough. That's the fact. We ain't ever going back. Enough's enough. did, I make up a chant to go Baby Ray. Yep. So bring it up right now. Give it up for Rebecca Hendricks, voting rights activist and youth organizer. Here we go.
Hello. Sorry.
I said, give it up for Rebecca. Don't have me bring Evelyn back up here. Give it up for Rebecca. Here we go. It was kind of close. I was getting ready to get Evelyn. It was kind of close.
Thank you so much, everyone. I am the youth organizer of the Youth Voter Corps, and I'm so excited and grateful to be here with you today. When I was in middle school, one of my first introductions to civics was reading the March comic books about John Lewis, and I was so amazed by his willingness and ability to protest and speak in the face of hatred at such a young age. It's no secret that young people care, just as John Lewis did all those years ago. This past summer, almost every week, you could find people, young people, protesting in the Black Lives Matter movement, and young people have led efforts to create green legislation and protect our schools from gun violence. I've always wondered why you can find huge groups of young people protesting and organizing, and yet election after election, we see under 50% of 18 to 25-year-olds showing up to the polls. In 2020, we just barely broke 50% of the 18 to 25-year-old voter margin. And in the same election, 74% of people aged 16, 65, and older voted. I believe the reason that youth voters don't show up to the polls is simple, is that they don't know how. And that there are some people out there who don't want them to know how. The voter registration requirements in America are notoriously confusing and wildly different from state to state. If it weren't for my high school government teacher taking time out of class to help students to register to vote, I believe most students in my class wouldn't have known where to begin. Beyond that, young voters are often college students and have to navigate requesting and sending absentee ballots. Young people without access to internet often miss vital voting information as well as the convenience of online registration. The youth are the future, and we must pass these acts to make sure that young people know when to vote, where to vote, how to vote, and how they can get involved. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Give it up one more time for Rebecca. It takes a lot. How old are you?
I'm 17.
It takes a lot of practice and a lot of courage to do this, and I wasn't doing it at 17. She's awesome. She is awesome. Yep. And then one more question for our next speaker. I think you know the answer. Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
Tell me what democracy looks like.
This is what democracy looks like.
As you said, what democracy looks like. Yeah. You guys are the key, but it just starts with us, and we have to expand out.
So I thank you all today for even giving me this opportunity to speak. Thank you so much, and thank you for choosing Seasonlicious Foods.
I said good afternoon, Kingston. All right. So listen, now Steve has done a great job, but I'm the hype man today. So we're gonna do a little practice, all right? So when I say voting, you say it's my right. Voting?
It's my right.
Voting?
It's my right.
Voting?
It's my right.
That's what I'm talking about. So my name is Marissa McClinton, and I'm here to remind you all of your power. I'm here to remind you all about your duty. I'm here to remind you all about your assignment today. Amen? Let me show you something. So we are all the product of the freedom fighters, right? We are all the product of the battles, the tears, the bruises, the fearlessness, and the boldness of the late John Lewis, the late Dr. King, the late Huey Newton, the late Fred Hampton, the late Bobby Hutton. It's because of them that we are able to stand here today and declare that we all have the right to vote. Am I right? Yes. We will continue to fight, to stand, and to march until our toes fall off to protect that right. Am I right? Yes. That's what I'm talking about. Keep that energy. Keep it going. So if the Constitution declared it, that means nobody can touch it, right? Right. Let me run something by you again. If the Constitution declares it so, that means nobody can stomp it out. That means nobody can suppress it. That means nobody can remove it. That means nobody can block it. Am I right? Keep going, class. So today is not business as usual. Today, we are standing here to reaffirm that every American has the right to exercise their right to choose who is representing their lives. Am I right? Today we march. Today we decree and declare that all black, brown, indigenous people of all creeds, backgrounds, orientations, and preferences have a voice in this democracy. Am I right? That all Americans have the right to a bottle of water. That all Americans have a right to a bottle of water. That all Americans have the right to exercise what the founding fathers gave us a mandate to do. Today we stand up for equality and democracy at all costs. And I close with this. While sitting in a jail cell for doing nothing but being a black man in a hotel lobby, the late Sam Cooke declared that a change is going to come. But today, my people, I'm here to declare to you that change is here. Change is now. So now you all go out and do your assignment and march these streets and tell them that we will vote. You cannot take our vote. It is ours today.
I gotta follow that. Oh, she's amazing. She's amazing.
And she's running for office.
And she's running for office. For what? Oh, she's running for office in Platica. Here we go. And before we bring up our last speaker, and then after that, begin our march, I just wanted to give a shout out to the organizers of the event, Indivisible NY19. They did a great job. They did a great job. Even in the rain, a great job. My honor to bring up our last speaker, and I will announce his title, Congressman, but you all know him because you've been to his town halls, personal meetings, our dear friend, Congressman Delgado. Our dear friend, Congressman Delgado. Evelyn, can you come here for a second? Evelyn, can you come here for a second?
What are we doing?
Congressman Antonio Delgado!
Too kind. Too kind.
Don't make me bring
too kind. Too kind. All right. I love you. I love you all. You know, I've been sitting here or standing here listening to all of the speakers, taking in this moment, and being very reflective about the time that we're living in. And it's hard not to have a heavy heart when we're talking about protecting the right to vote. When we're talking about the right that people have sacrificed their lives and shed blood for, and had dogs attack them for, and had hoses sprayed on them for. And you overcome these obstacles, you overcome these hurdles, and you hope that in doing so you institutionalize the work, that you create systems to maintain it. And rather than do that, we had a Supreme Court decide in Shelby v. Holder that we've done enough. That the work that happened just a few decades ago, after hundreds and hundreds of years of struggle and oppression, was enough. And they told the country, they told the states with a history of discrimination, a history of making it more difficult to exercise this fundamental right, you're good to go. You don't have to submit any longer to the Department of Justice any changes in your voting laws to demonstrate that they're not going to continue to marginalize historically disenfranchised communities. Your slate is wiped clean. Since 2010, 2010, 25 states have enacted laws that make it more difficult to vote. Since 2010, since February of this year, 100 laws have been proposed across this country to make it more difficult to vote. So I'm trying to figure out what it was the Supreme Court was thinking when it said everything's okay. It looks like they were dead wrong. It looks like there's still a lot of dark forces at work. And it looks like the light has to continue marching. It looks like the light has to continue to bond together. You know, I've been reflecting a lot, not just of late, but it seems like ever since I got in office, about the times we're living in. They're history-making times here. This is the period people will write about to try to understand what we were grappling with as a country, trying to reconnect with our soul, trying to reconnect with our purpose, trying to reconnect with those ideals that set the bar, a bar that we are continually trying to reach. That is the objective here. And the fact that we are now back on the front lines doing this work, you can look at it one or two ways. One way is to keep your head down and say, you know, my goodness, this is a lot to bear. And I can understand, particularly those who've been here for a long while. But the other way to look at it is, something must be going on. There must be some type of paradigm shift happening beneath the surface that got a lot of people nervous. There's a lot of people scared. And they're trying to bring back old habits and old ways to deal with this new reality. I got a lot of hope in that. I got a lot of hope in that. In that new reality that is upon us. And yes, it's going to hurt when you shed that skin. It's going to hurt when you make that change. But we are in the middle of that change. So you should expect a little bit of this pain. It comes with the territory. It's part of the work. So don't be deterred. Don't be discouraged. It's fuel to your fire. You know you're doing something right when this comes at you like this. So dig in. Dig into that work. I'm going to leave you with this story. The great John Lewis. And we're here because we need to pass that Voting Rights Advancement Act and restore Section 5 to make sure we can hold these states and these districts across the country accountable. The highlight of my first term in Congress was when I went to Selma on the pilgrimage that the great John Lewis would take members of Congress annually. As you can imagine, in my first term, I'm excited. I get to Selma. I'm taking in the history with the great John Lewis. My wife's with me, Lacey. And we have a moment where we're going to cross over the Edmund Pettus Bridge. The same bridge this man walked across with the great Dr. King, Bloody Sunday, the same moment that spurred the passage of the Voting Rights Act. We walked this bridge with him. Made my day. I would have went to bed that night and been A-okay. We had to get on the bus to go back to Washington. It was raining. A little harder than today, but it was raining. I'm on a bus with my wife, waiting for the rain to pass all of us. And the great John Lewis is about 2 or 3 rows ahead of us. By himself. No one's really sitting with him. My wife says, you should go sit next to him while we wait. You're right, I should. So I listened. And I always listen. Listen. So I walked to the front, I sat next to him, and it was like sitting next to a Buddha, a sage. His energy, his love, it just emitted from his being. And I said, how did you do it? How did you do it? How did you keep getting up when they bashed your skull and you almost died on that bridge? How did you not just get up, but get up with love in your heart still, and compassion? You never got ugly. You never got violent. You just stayed the course day in and day out. Tell me how you did it. And this is how I was asking him. I really felt like I needed to hear directly from him in this moment, on this bus. And he looked at me. And he didn't come out with a bunch of words, and didn't say a whole lot. He just looked at me with the most earnest eyes you could have. And he said, love, Antonio. You have to have it. You have to have it. You have to believe. You've got to believe. And it wasn't even so much what he said. It was how he said it. The conviction, his conviction. You have to believe in this. That's where it starts. You have to really believe how much this matters and how much you can make the difference. So I can't sit here and deliver to you that moment, what he gave me, that fire, that what I felt in that moment, but all I can tell you is it was real. Yeah. It was real. And even as I think about it, I can get emotional. That's how powerful that moment was. And so believe. Believe in that power. Believe in love. Believe in your faith. Believe in it. And if we really bind, we really rally around all of that, anything is possible. Yeah. Justice is possible. Okay? So thank you. Thank you for everything you're doing. Keep believing. Keep loving. Keep hugging. Touch each other. Be together. All right? God bless you.
No, you can't, and no, you don't. We ain't giving up the vote. No, you can't, and no, you don't. We ain't giving up the vote. No, you can't, and no, you don't. We ain't giving up the vote. Oh, no, you can't, and no, you don't. We ain't giving up the vote. Okay, now comes the march part of the rally. It's a short march, but that's mostly because it's raining. We're lining up this one right here.
Dreams of making the world better, or fear of it getting worse, or a mixture of the two. We've all realized that there are things in this world that need fixing. And instead of staying home, instead of deciding it's too much and giving up, we've decided to show up today and put the work in. And I'm so glad you've all come here today, because there is work to be done. Right now, the voting system in this country isn't good enough. Gerrymandering, restrictive voter ID laws, and voter roll purging all should be taken out of the system immediately. And yet here they are. Here they are stealing people's votes, especially the votes of people of color. And after the historic turnouts of the 2018 and the 2020 election, some people in power are inspired and encouraged by what we accomplished. And some people in power are scared. They see our flawed voting system and seek to make it more inaccessible, more unfair. And you know why? Because they know that they haven't been serving us, which means that if every person got a vote, they wouldn't be in power anymore. Voting is one of our most basic rights. Voting is a crucial part of activism. The power to choose our representatives is critical in the fight to make the world better. And while I won't be able to vote until 2024, I want to cast that first ballot knowing that no one is having that right taken away from them. So we're here today at the Festival of Activism to make it known to the Hudson Valley and the world that we're going to make our voices heard, and we're going to get the John Lewis Voting Rights Act passed. Because we know that we need the world to be better and fair, and we can start here by fighting for the people of this country, all the people in this country, to have a say in democracy. Thank you so much for coming.
I need a good friend who can remind me that anytime I'm feeling lost, a good friend can find me. White wine and whiskey, you let me down. Lied to me 7 million times. Who loved and left you? It's hard to forget you, and I don't need you hanging around. I need a good friend to stand beside me. I need a good friend who can remind me that anytime I think I'm lost, a good friend can find me. Gossips and gypsy kings, diamonds to dust. Another lonely night. Ooh, trying to trick me to lie on those tracks. Heaven sent me someone I can trust. Yeah. I need a good friend to stand beside me. I need a good friend who can remind me that anytime I think I'm lost, a good friend can find me. How can I reach for the stars? Oh, without a soft place to fall. Oh, yeah. We all need her. I need a good friend who can remind me. I need a good friend who can remind me that anytime I think I'm low, freaking out and far from home, anytime I think I'm lost, a good friend can find, a good friend can find me.
begin, and this is how you conclude a rally. You begin with struggle and you end with hope. So another shout out to Indivisible, New York 19, you did a wonderful job. And then also shout out, if you like the food at this place, try 11 Lohmeyer Lake the Tree, the Evolution Center, another site for this organization. So thank you. Everybody get home